On Thai PBS World Tonight, the Justice Minister expressed concerns over the safety of whistleblowers on voting collusion in the Senate election. 6 southern provinces are flooded as huge amount of rain poured in past 24 hours. And Thailand generates hundreds of thousands tons of electronic waste per year. A movement of right to repair can be silver lining for environmental issues.
Very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nat Bunna.
I'm Frank Kanchi.
And we'll begin tonight with the biggest story and the latest developments regarding the investigation into the vote collusion in the Senate election last year. And up until now, we're still waiting for the DSI's decision whether it will accept this as a special case. And the 22 members of the special case committee of the DSI, including Deputy Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai and Justice Minister Mae Sot have met today to decide whether to accept the voting collusion allegation as a special case for investigation by the DSI. The votes of 2/3 of the committee are needed to accept the case. Justice Minister Mae Sot expressed concern for the safety of witnesses in the case of alleged voting collusion in the Senate election last June, if their identities are to be disclosed to the special case committee of the DSI. The Justice Minister explained that the charges of criminal association posing a national security threat as proposed by the DSI are not targeted at the Senate, but are legal terminology describing a group of people that are covering up illegal activities. He claimed that there are 6 areas of the law concerning elections and political parties, and that the Election Commission is bound by them in the performance of its duties. As far as the investigation is concerned, he insists that other agencies such as the police and the public prosecutors have the authority to conduct the investigation. He also said that since there are allegations of voting collusion and the fact that about 1.5 billion baht was spent on organizing the election, it would be beneficial to the Senate itself if such accusations were to be cleared up by the DSI. Tawi further explained that the investigation is not intended to fault all senators, but to uncover the truth about the election. And to give you a recap, the whole drama began after some of the failed senatorial candidates complained about the alleged collusion to manipulate the results. The DSI has collected sufficient evidence to prove that the Senate election last June was riddled with collusion. However, a group of senators argued that both the DSI and the Justice Ministry do not have the authority to investigate the Senate because the investigation rests with the Election Commission. And throughout the day, the senators in Parliament were seen very anxious and worried about the decision by the DSI today. So this is definitely a big issue for them.
And this is a very controversial story that we have seen in political landscape there, because so many senators right now, they are seeing the outcome of this special committee meeting here, as what Ned said there. A lot of amount of money get involved in this controversial case there. And of course, right now, it's still ongoing deliberation in the parliament now. And of course, the leader of People's Party, Nattapong Rungpanya, would already say that actually, of course, right now we still have to waiting for the result of the meeting, but he encouraged this DSI to continue investigating this case because this is very controversial.
Exactly.
From controversial Senate election to the border situation between Thailand and Myanmar, right now, of course, in Myanmar, we see the aftermath of electricity and fuel cut situation there as to border town in Myanmar still affecting local citizens, many of whom had to cross the border to Dak province to refuel. Long queues of cars extending up to 5 kilometers are waiting in Myanmar's Myanmar border township to cross the first Thai-Myanmar friendship bridge into Thailand's Mae Sot to refuel. The site has become commonplace as fuel is becoming increasingly scarce since Thailand cut electricity, fuel, and internet supplies to locations in Myanmar, including Myanmar, on February 5th, to put pressure on Myanmar to crack down on Chinese-run scam call centers in the Myanmar, Tha Khile, and Phaya Sot border townships. The crackdown has driven some Chinese scammers to other towns or into Cambodia. More than 6,000 people of various nationalities have been rescued from call centers. Most of them are still being held by the Karen forces as they wait for permission from the Thai government to cross into Thailand. An informed border source said that all small petrol stations in Myanmar have closed, leaving only the larger ones still operating, but for only an hour a day. The pump price of benzene or premium gasoline is 70 baht per liter and 71 baht liter for diesel. The source say that the black market price in Myanmar is as high as 130 baht liter for all oil products. So we have to see this aftermath of electricity cut, fuel cut there, as some local residents in the border town in Myanmar, they have to cross over to get some more fuel.
And this is something that we have seen for a few weeks already since Thailand has decided to cut the electricity and fuel supplies to the 5 towns in Myanmar, whether it's in Myanmar, Tha Khile, and Phaya Sot townships. But undeniably, many of the local citizens have been severely affected by these cuts. And you have seen that many of the local citizens have to drive from Myanmar into Tak province. And you can see right there that that is a very long queue. So imagine the traffic jam from Myanmar to Tak province.
It's a very difficult test for both government Myanmar and Thailand because they have to balance between really crack down those scam centers and the basic needs for citizens.
Yes, and even though China has applauded Thailand's move into cutting the electricity and fuel supplies, and Thailand has also decided to maintain these measures, but unfortunately, we also have to consider how the local citizens will be affected as well. And now let's turn to this story. It was raining yesterday here in Bangkok, but many provinces in the south are dealing with the flooding situation. So widespread flooding is reported in 49 districts in 6 southern provinces today after more than 100 millimeters of rain fell over the past 24 hours. And this is according to the Department of Public Disaster Prevention and Mitigation. Flash floods and river overflows have hit Prachop Khiri Khan provinces, including Chumphon, Surat Thani, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Phathalung, and Trang provinces due to a moderate to strong cold weather system over the northeastern region of Thailand and the South China Sea. And this resulted in the strengthening of southerly and southeasterly winds, bringing increased humidity inland. And in Phathalung province, runoffs from the Bantan mountain range have flooded several sections of the Phathalung-Trang highway, especially the section between the Srinakharin Hospital and the PTT service station, covering about 1 kilometer. And the level of the floodwater is steadily rising. Emergency and relief workers helped residents of 2 villages in Kayat sub-district to move their valuables to higher ground last night as floodwater rose so fast that it caught them unprepared. On the popular Phangan Resort Island in Surat Thani province, widespread flooding was reported last night, inundating many houses and cars. And in Nakhon Si Thammarat province, mountain runoffs have been pouring into Kiriwong and Lasaka districts since last night, with several villages now underwater. And the Kanchanawinit Road, also known as the Old Songkhla Hat Yai Road, was partially covered by 30 to 50 centimeters of water, forcing officials to close the Hat Yai bound lane. And some villagers are actually complaining that they are yet to receive the 9,000 baht compensation promised by the government during the floods of last year. And even though many people are have not received the compensation from last year. Now they are dealing with another blow, which is the flooding situation down south.
This is the typical weather system that we have seen since between the cold season
Yeah.
and the hot season. I think we will see a lot of rain pour down from the sky, but this time is unpredictable. I think unexpected, of course, for residents in south too. So, of course, some residents or I think businesses in Thailand, they flag the issue about climate change issue too. This is one of the aftermath of climate change issue we're gonna see in the future very soon. And as in, of course, as what you said, Thailand's government promised to give 9,000 baht for
Yeah.
those affected in southern part of the province, but they haven't received it, which is a big burden for them.
It is definitely a big burden because they haven't received any compensation from last year. Now they are dealing with the floods again and again. So it's going to be a very hard time for these communities who have been affected by the floods and even the mudslides.
Right. And another actually is transport, the climate issue that we talk about always is about PM 2.5 in cold season. And right now, I think one government organization in Thailand trying to fix the issue as in it will lease over 1,500 EV buses to help the situation. This is the silver lining part. According to the Ministry of Transport, the BMTA, Bangkok Mass Transit Authority, is moving forward with its clean energy bus rental project. The first phase, covering 1,520 air-conditioned electric buses, comes with a budget of 15.35 billion baht over a 7-year period from 2025 to 2032. The leasing process will be conducted through e-bidding with a 7-year contract in place. Once the BMTA board gives its approval, the proposal will be sent to the Ministry of Transport before reaching the Cabinet for final consideration in early March. The procurement process is expected to conclude within 55 days, allowing contracts to be signed by April. So we will see the first 500 buses should start arriving in August. BMTA officials say the initiative will help combat PM 2.5 air pollution and improve urban transport. The move to electric buses is also aimed at reducing fuel and maintenance costs by around 70%, easing the financial burden on the BMTA, which owes the government over 100 billion baht. The organization expects to clear this debt within 7 years. BMTA director expressed confidence in the transition to electric power, saying it would have a positive impact on cost. The new buses will replace aging vehicles that have been in service for over 30 years, significantly cutting maintenance expenses. Meanwhile, plans are already underway for second phase of procurement with an additional over 1,500 electric buses to join BMTA's fleet through a PPP model. Officials anticipate tangible progress this year with a total of over 3,000 electric buses to be deployed in the coming years. I think it's very important. Sometimes foreigner tourists, when they come to Thailand, they will see some 1890s made buses, very old buses without air conditioned, without windows. Some people call it iconic, but right now we might see it less on the road.
And this is actually a good idea to replace the old buses with the new EV buses because it not only cares about the environment, because we've been talking about the PM 2.5 dust pollution, and most of that has been caused by the vehicles, especially those old buses that carry this exhaust emissions, and it's affecting people's health.
And comparing to other metropolises in Southeast Asia, I think either in Indonesia or in Vietnam, we have seen some EV buses, many EV buses running on the road, and right now Bangkok is trying to catch up.
And it's a good thing because we do need EV buses because we cannot afford to putting our health at risk with this exhaust emissions from the old buses and other old vehicles as well. And moving on to lighter stories, you know how famous Moo Deng is, and that has drawn both local and international tourists to meet the pygmy hippo here in Thailand. But recently there has been a social media drama after PETA has urged British tourists not to visit the famous animals in zoos, including Moo Deng. And the Khao Kheow Open Zoo director has defended the facility against accusations by an animal rights organization that the zoo pushed Moo Deng, a pygmy hippo, to stardom to increase income while neglecting her and other animals' welfare. The director of the zoo in Chonburi said the claims are groundless, saying that the zoo has 4 missions, which is conservation, research, education, and recreation. And they evaluate the welfare of all animals every year, not just Moo Deng, to ensure their well-being. And recently, PETA said that Khao Kheow Open Zoo claims to breed animals in captivity for conservation, but let's be honest, these businesses breed animals far away from their natural homes and keep them prisoner for profit. PETA and Born Free have urged British tourists not to visit famous animals in zoos, including Moo Deng, arguing that their fame contributes to their continued captivity. The campaigners claim that in 2024, Moo Deng became an unwilling social media star after a zookeeper posted a video of her on Instagram, which went viral around the world. It is distressing that Moo Deng continues to be used as a tool for boosting the profile and revenue of the zoo, where she is held captive. And this is what the organization said, adding that the popularity of celebrity animals, both online and in the real world, is deeply concerning to Born Free, not least because of the detrimental impact on their welfare. This is actually the second time PETA has raised concern about Moo Deng. And in September last year, the group called for her release, arguing that she belongs in the wild and accusing the zoo of exploiting her for profit. If we remember back in September, PETA posted on its Facebook page stating that TikTok turned Moo Deng into a celebrity, but the reality is far from cute. The zoo in Thailand is exploiting her for profit, parading her around like an attraction, and the hippo's home is in the wild. So therefore, they want to boycott roadside zoos. So that is a huge drama right there. But even though Moo Deng has been a viral sensation, not just in Thailand and around the world, but unfortunately, many of the animal welfare organizations have been posting issues saying that you're holding these celebrity animals in captivity for the sake of fame or popularity. So we can see 2 sides of it.
Yeah, as what you said, actually, we can see the bright side and the dark side there. Because of the bright side, of course, the zoo here is trying to push the knowledge, the education of this species for not just Thailand and everybody in the world to see Moo Deng. It's very, very cute, but at least we know what the species is and how to treat him, the animal well. But actually, in the side, like PETA, they talk about the right of animal not being captive in a very small box or small area, but we should let them release in the air or in the open, in the wild. It's very important. But what is wrong or what is right, it's very hard to really decide it.
Yeah, exactly. But at least we have to be aware that whenever we visit the zoos and we want to see these famous animals, whether it's Moo Deng or any other star animals like the capybaras or tigers or any sort of wild animals that are in zoos, what we always have to bear in mind is never abuse them. That is like the bottom line, because we might have seen some of the visitors throwing objects at the animals, so please don't do that.
And it's not just Moo Deng, it's all the animals.
Yes.
Like when you go to a zoo, and it's better to observe how the zoo treats their animals in, so that would be very important to see.
Exactly.
And from right to animal to right to repair. So actually, we've seen a lot of electronic waste reach a very high amount at over 450 1,000 tons per year in Thailand. So actually, I think, Ned, you just told me that you just changed your phone. But normally, we use, for example, no matter it's Android phone or iPhone, for me, I use for 5 years and I change it. And you use more than that, right?
Mine is more than that, around 5 or 6 years until I realized that the battery is getting worse.
Yeah, but you know, some people actually, they change their phone every year because they have to chase the trend. But now, of course, there is the right to repair movement there to really to let customers to choose to repair their phones because they are not forcing to get a new phone. And of course, it's a right way to get repaired and of course to reduce electronic waste. What is Sarah Sehan has more.
How often do you replace your phone? Or how often do you fix your electronic devices? When the product's life gets shorter or incapable of having it fixed by yourself, there's an argument that this may be a strategy of planned obsolescence, where the companies or manufacturers set the lifespans for their products to increase sales. This is where the right to repair movement started.
Thailand has a large independent repair sector for smartphones and other electronic devices, so local repair shops are an alternative for consumers. The situation nowadays, though, is difficult for those shops, as some companies have implemented physical, legal, and digital barriers to independent repair. Edward Radcliffe, who is Executive Director of Southeast Asia Public Policy Institute, gives one great example, which is parts pairing.
If you go to an independent repairer and you have a battery or a screen replaced, something like that, then essentially the phone will reject that part because it isn't coordinated and serialized by the manufacturer themselves or by an authorized dealer.
Some of those companies provide repair services, but they can be expensive. As a result, consumers throw their products away and buy new ones. This means that Thailand has to deal with the environmental impact of electronic waste.
Thailand produces around 450,000 tons of e-waste per year, and studies indicate around 25,000 tons of that is e-waste from smartphones and tablets, which are highly repairable and fit well into a right to repair framework.
The concept of the right to repair movement is for consumers or repair shops to have the right to fix products with access to parts, tools, and documentation. Right to repair has some legal provisions in the EU and some states in America, but not in many areas of Southeast Asia. Thailand, however, has proposed the Liability for Defective Goods Bill, or Lemon Law, which is a bill aimed at enhancing consumer protection against defective products. Edward believes that adding a right to repair law could ease the e-waste issue.
So around mandatory or mandating for access to parts and schematics and manuals for repairers and banning the practices like parts pairing. Those aren't in the law. They could be in the law.
กฤษดาแสงเจริญทรัพย์ Director of the Master of Laws program at Rangsit University, points out the challenges for this movement in society. One of the challenges is the consumer's mindset.
ถ้าอุปกรณ์ของเราเก่าปุ๊บหรือเสียปุ๊บส่วนใหญ่แล้วเรามักเลือกที่จะทิ้งมากกว่าเลือกที่จะซ่อมตรงนี้น่าจะเป็นปัญหาหนึ่งเลยครับ
Another challenge is the trustworthiness of the local repair shops. Most independent shops are fixing stuff by themselves without instruction manuals from manufacturers. Some parts are hard to find. This is an area that consumers are concerned about.
อาจจะต้องมานั่งคุยกันกับอาจจะเป็นสมาคมหรือผู้แทนของร้านรายย่อยแบบนี้เพื่อมาดูว่าเขาสามารถที่จะพูดคุยแล้วก็คอมโพรไมซ์จุดตรงกลางที่สุดตรงนี้ได้มากน้อยแค่ไหน
Apart from having a right to repair policy, one of the most important keys is raising awareness of repair culture in Thai society. Khao Kheow, director of the Repair Community Thailand, offers non-profit repair cafes as a space in which people can get familiar with the repair culture.
We have a manual ready, we have a database ready, we have a messaging channel ready to communicate with whoever interested. That will start populating like groups of communities that are trying to work on right to repairs around the nation.
It is, however, unclear yet where the right to repair movement will be headed in legislation, as this movement is quite new to the country. Khao believes that empowering repair culture at the consumer level could be a key to the success of this movement.
Every initiative on repairs or repair economy in countries that already have right to repair policy enforced, it's all started with the consumer. It started with the local community at the grassroots.
Warisala Sehan reporting for Thai PBS World.
So we have seen, of course, inside the experts, the professionals say that actually we as customers, we need to have the right to repair. We have the right to choose. We have the right to really repair our phones or electronics. And that's why, of course, we can reduce the electronic waste in the country and we maintain our rights there.
And it's really important to be aware of the electronic waste that has been increasing in Thailand every single year. So the right to repair is actually a great movement because it raises the awareness of the access to the repairs, where to fix their phones or any other electronic devices, and also how to reduce electronic waste in the country as well. All right, and that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Join us every Monday and Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Thai PBS World's Facebook and YouTube Live. And don't forget to follow us on social media and our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest stories and analyses about Thailand. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ